Hi, this is the old guy. Today we're going to talk about the zv-e10 as seen here. I'm just going to put this down. My perspective is from a wedding shooter, a small YouTuber, and for memories. And here it's used in a YouTube setting, and I would state that this is all you need. And as you'll see in this video, this camera punches way above its weight. But if you insist on going where it's not very good, then you can get into some trouble. But I'll tell you where it's not very good and where you should be careful and some workarounds when you go there, because you might be able to get away with it anyway. I shoot all my talking heads on this camera, and right now I'm shooting on the zv-e10 with the Sigma 16mm. I got this combo for only $600 with a kit lens. And just to put things in perspective, Vanessa Lau has used this camera as the zv-e10 until reaching 1 million subscribers. She has just bought a zv-e1 instead because of some of its limitations, but I bet you she could use this camera still without you noticing. And let's get all the cons out of the way first. Some workarounds and what you gotta be careful of because of those cons. This is not a vlogging camera, as all the advertising says. And if you try to handhold this camera in contrasty situations, the image will fall apart, especially if you want to insist on using it in 4K. But let's go into why. It's only 8-bit, and that means that if you can't control the lighting and if it's very contrasty where you're shooting, maybe it's backlit when you're trying to vlog. If you want to expose it right and get a good picture of yourself vlogging, you have to accept that you will clip the highlights. Because if you're trying to save both the highlights and the shadows at the same time when in contrast situations and uncontrolled lighting, you will see a lot of banding. And I will suggest only using HDL3 for most dynamic range, but I almost always shoot in zv-e2 cinema profile for easiest color grading and okay dynamic range. For me, that's kind of the sweet spot for this camera. And all of this video is shot in zv-e2 cinema profile and graded a bit afterwards. But the 8-bit will hurt you when vlogging outside, where you can't control the lighting. Here in the studio, I don't think you'll notice that I'm shooting in 8-bit. On top of this, there's no in-body image stabilization, only an active one which crops 1.4 times. But today we're gonna vlog with two different lenses. The two lenses I'm vlogging on, the 9mm viltrox 2.8 and the kit lens, which is optically stabilized. I use a DJI mic Mini. I use this adapter in the digital hot shoe because this is one of the pros that I'll come back to later that the zv-e10 brings. It can use accessories in a multi-interface hot shoe. And with these two lenses that I've showed you, you can actually get away with vlogging on this camera, as I'll show you now in my garden. And this is the kit lens with only optical stabilization. And you can't put on active on this one because it crops in 1.4 times and then it would be really tight. But I'll say you can actually get away with this kit lens, and I have put it on an f2.8 because I didn't have an ND filter on, and then you had the same exposure as the next lens I'm going to show you. And here's a vlog on the viltrox 9mm with an ND filter set to about 2 stops. And it's with the active stabilization. Let's see if it does a good job. It crops in a bit, but when it's 9mm like this lens, it's actually pretty good. So you can get away with vlogging with this zv-e10 original. And it's actually pretty good the way I see it right now on this little screen, but I don't know. And now we're back at the studio, and here's the last con, which is rolling shutter, and why I shoot all my footage on this camera in 1080p even here in the studio, but that's not because of the rolling shutter. That's because I'm vain and don't want all my wrinkles to show up on YouTube. And putting the camera in 1080p fixes both the rolling shutter and my wrinkles. And those are about the 3 biggest cons of this camera. And I don't really think you need to be careful of anything else. So now we come to all the pros, and there's a lot. As I told you, zv-e10 reached 1 million subscribers using only this camera. But number 1, the camera is about a third of the new iPhone 7 Pro Max. And with the lens it's under half the price. And that leaves us with number 2 Pro. This is a very small camera that can be fitted into small spaces. And it's not that expensive. So I tend to leave it here in my studio. And brought one more for my outside work and my private stuff for photos. And that's why I can show you a camera while filming on one. And let me show you this little studio of 4 square meters. And this is in the studio with the Viltrox 9mm again, because I don't have a lot of room. And I've set this up just on my little setup like this with the quick release plate, so I can take out the battery and the card. The battery I don't need to take out because it's on juice with a dummy battery, but it's hooked up right up the wall because then I have a lot of room. And I need a lot of room because it's a very small space. But this is actually pretty good and it's a cheap option. And Black Friday is just around the corner, and maybe you can get a good deal on this camera because the newer ones never seem to be on sale on Black Friday. But here's my studio. It's crammed up, but as you see in my talking head scene, you can't see all the stuff crammed up here. You don't see all the stuff I crammed into it in this talking head shot. And the third pro would be size. This is one of the cameras that actually are a lot smaller than the full frame solutions out there. Digital hot shoe, as I mentioned before. Only just recently another company has made a camera with this digital hot shoe, the Nikon CR. And this hot shoe is so underrated. The ability to put accessories right into the hot shoe without cords are the most underrated feature out there. And this DJI Mic Mini turns on by itself when you turn on the camera, and when you take out the mic, it connects by itself. So you don't have to think about sound. The more resources you have to just think about making the video. A mechanical shutter. For me, this feature is so underrated too. And even though the cameras are getting less and less rolling shutter, the banding you get when under artificial light, you can't really get rid of without a mechanical shutter. And here I would recommend to get a portrait lens for your zv-e10 too. And this lens is awesome. The Sigma 56mm 1.4. And that's about it from the lenses I would pick. Maybe if you're a guy who likes to zoom, I would get the Sigma 18 to 50 2.8 because it's very small too and very versatile, but I don't like using zooms on my crop bodies. Then there's the lens selection. Sony has the biggest lens selection out there. And the last thing is autofocus. This camera's autofocus compared to its price is top tier. I'm not a brand guy. I'm just a bit invested into Sony, but if I wasn't invested in Sony, I might go a different route. But I know my Sonys in and out, and I know its strengths and its weaknesses, like I told you, and I'm best equipped to give advice on these cameras. But I think I will buy a Nikon zr in the future because it can adapt all my lenses. And I actually only own 2 native Sony lenses, the 16mm 1.8 and the kit lens from this zv-e10, because I got it with the camera body for free. But the 16mm is hard to get in any other brands. Would I recommend this camera? Yes, I would, but I would not buy it new. I would buy it on Black Friday, coming up just around the corner, where it's probably going to be on sale. This is an older body, so most of the older bodies usually go on sale on Black Friday with big savings. Or I would buy it used. This is a great studio camera for YouTube and an awesome photo camera because of the mechanical shutter. And if you can get it for under $400 with the kit lens, these are worth every dollar. And just to mention it a last time, Vanessa Lau made 1 million subscribers with this camera.